Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers public defenders, trespassing and resisting, and the First Amendment, and is brought to us by Four Corner Auditing's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. In a video posted on December 21st, 2021, First Amendment Auditor Justin Chi decided to film at the New Mexico Public Defender's Office in Aztec, New Mexico. Mr. Chi had filmed at this office on at least one prior occasion, and when Mr. Chi requested to speak with an attorney, despite not having been charged with a crime, supervising attorney Sarah Field came into the reception area to talk to him.
Good morning, Mr. Chi. What can I do for you?
Well, I just got some questions about, what a freedom of press is?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm doing. I did it over the phone. I don't know who, Susie, your supervisor?
I'm her supervisor.
Yes, I called and told her this is a First Amendment audit over the phone. And she told me it was a joke. She said, it's all in my head. It's stuff that I watch on TV. And she started doing this in front of the...
Because this is a law office. You don't have the same right to come in here because we have confidential information in.
No, well, in the public area I can.
Okay, but this is not public.
Call the police.
We did.
All right.
Okay.
You're going to see that they can't do nothing about it. This is the First
Amendment.
Amendment.
Have to be trespassed because we can't have you coming in here when our
This is my business, freedom of press, making sure government workers are following policies and procedures. You can try your best to be a tyrant, man. It's not going to work.
You've misunderstood because you cannot be in here because
this is a public area. This is my business, making sure people are following policies and procedures.
Sir, I need you to leave because you are going to be trespassed from this building.
I'm exercising my rights.
Once you're trespassed, if you come back, you will be arrested.
You're going to learn something new today, man. Are they underway?
Yes.
Thank you for calling them. This is going to be...
While you're waiting for them,
This is a public area, ma'am. I can be in here.
Sir, this is not a public area.
Yes, it is. It doesn't say private property anywhere. It doesn't say have any signs say that I can't be in here. That's where you guys are wrong.
A verbal directive that you
But this is a public area. This is for the public. You can't trespass the public. We pay you guys' salaries and wages. I got the right to do this.
Mr. Chi argues that he's allowed to be in the waiting room for the public defender's office because it is a so-called public area, and there are no signs indicating that he cannot be there. In general, a public defender is a government-funded attorney that represents indigent citizens who are charged with criminal offenses. While New Mexico public defenders are state employees, they do not serve the general public and are only permitted statutorily to assist individuals who have been charged with crimes or are under investigation. Under Section 31-15-10 of the New Mexico statutes, quote, the district public defender shall represent every person without counsel who is financially unable to obtain counsel and who is charged in any court within the district with any crime that carries a possible sentence of imprisonment. The statute also requires the public defender's office to represent indigent individuals in any state post-conviction proceedings and allows, but does not require, the office to represent indigent individuals who are under investigation for allegedly committing murder or any other felony criminal offense, or confer with any person who is not represented by counsel and who is being forcibly detained. According to the New Mexico law offices of the public defender, quote, the public defender department can only do work for people who have been found eligible for representation by a public defender. A person's eligibility will be determined based on household income and assets. To see if you qualify, you must visit one of our district offices, where an eligibility clerk will ask you a series of questions in order to complete the eligibility application. We will discuss the issue of whether Mr. Chi had a First Amendment right to be in the building later in this episode, but for now, it's important to note that Mr. Chi did not meet any of the requirements that would allow the public defender's office to serve him or represent him.
You guys are supposed to be here serving the public, but you over here now telling me what to do. You don't tell me what to do.
We don't serve the public. The law says that we serve people charged with crimes.
But I'm here. I'm a business, making sure government workers are following policies. I already did this in other buildings. The cops didn't do nothing to me.
I know you did.
So.
Everybody's aware of Justin Chi going building to building.
We got tyrants going on in here too, huh? This is what you call tyranny. D. Smith, how you doing this morning?
Chi, how are you?
Doing good. Exercising my rights.
I understand that. So I'm gonna explain kind of what we're gonna do, okay?
What is that?
So my understanding is that they've asked that you be trespassed from the property.
It's public access. I'm exercising my rights.
I understand that, okay? I'm not trying to create any more issues, okay? But they do have the right to ask you to not be on the property. And so we're going to do a trespass order today, okay? Warning you that you're not allowed to be on the property, okay?
I'm doing my First Amendment press.
understand that, but they have their right to ask you not to come onto the
They
property.
can't violate my rights.
Okay, you're being advised that you need to leave the property, so you'll have to, and I will get the exact, make sure that what the property is, but once you're trespassed from that, if you are to come back, it's for 1 year, you would then be subject to arrest, okay? So,
Go ahead and violate my rights.
they're not wanting you to go inside.
Go ahead and
So,
violate
stay
my
out
rights.
here. Chief, they're asking that you leave, so I need you to step out.
Hey, Deputy Smith, how are you?
Good. So they're asking that you be trespassed.
You
Is
tell
that-
them, you
We
tell
need
them,
him
correct.
you
trespassed.
tell them
Okay.
the Constitution gives me the right to do this.
They also
They don't have the right
remain
to violate my.
trespassed.
They don't have the right to violate my rights. My right is to exercise
Mr.
my
Chief,
rights.
I'm giving you a lawful order to step outside,
You
Mr.
threaten
Chief.
me with arrest?
Your ability to remain here has been taken away by by a representative of the property.
It's not a lawful order.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Because you've been asked to leave and you're remaining on site. I am giving you a lawful order to step outside.
Show me the proof.
It's in the criminal trespass statute.
All right, you want to show me that?
I'm not going to do that right now. You need to step
And
out.
now you want to be a tyrant again?
I'm trying to allow you to leave today without going to jail.
I'm
If
gonna.
you can comply with us,
No, you're not going to take me to
you
jail.
can go
It's
out
what you
there.
call kidnapping while I'm well within my rights.
no, that's not.
Yes, it is.
Your privilege to remain on this property has been revoked by them.
No, I can be in
Now
here any
you are
day,
criminal
every day.
trespassing.
No, I'm not.
So if you want to continue,
No, I'm not. I'm
then
gonna.
now you're going to be
you know what?
subject to arrest.
Come here. Come outside today. Tomorrow.
We're
Come in.
on.
Watch.
Go ahead.
Watch.
Deputy Smith informs Mr. Chi that if he refuses to leave the property, he will be arrested for criminal trespass. Section 30-14-1 of the New Mexico statute states that, along with other actions, quote, criminal trespass also consists of knowingly entering or remaining upon lands owned, operated, or controlled by the state or any of its political subdivisions, knowing that consent to enter or remain is denied or withdrawn by the custodian thereof. Although the definition of a custodian is not defined in the statute or any relevant case law, because Mr. Chi was asked to leave by a public defender supervisor and a police officer called by the public defender, it is likely that he could be convicted for criminal trespassing for refusing to leave the property. Additionally, a court could also conclude that by refusing to leave when Deputy Smith ordered him to, Mr. Chi committed the crime of resisting an officer in violation of Section 30-22-1 of the New Mexico statutes, which states that, quote, resisting, evading, or obstructing an officer consists of resisting or abusing any judge, magistrate, or peace officer in the lawful discharge of his duties. As the 10th Circuit explained in the 2019 case of United States versus Romero, the New Mexico Court of Appeals has interpreted the phrase resisting or abusing to prohibit three types of conduct, quote, physical acts of resistance, the use of fighting words to attack an officer, and the refusal to obey lawful police commands. Therefore, if a court determined that Deputy Smith lawfully ordered Mr. Chi to leave the property, he could also be convicted of resisting.
I'm exercising my rights, and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll
Go back in if you want to lock the door. You're more than welcome
I'll
to.
be back tomorrow.
No, you
Yes,
are
I
criminally
will.
trespassed from the property,
No, I'm not.
Mr. Chief.
That's what you think.
No,
That's what
we're
you
going to
say.
do it, and we'll fill out the form here to give you it, and you can get a copy of it if you'd like.
What are you gonna fill out the form about?
It's going to be a criminal trespass warning.
You guys can't
come
violate.
back onto the property.
You can't violate my rights.
I'm
with-
not
with-
violating your rights.
Yes, you are.
They've revoked your privilege to be here. You're being
That's
advised that you
violating my
can't come back.
rights.
So, Chief, I'm
You're
trying
not
to work
trying
with
to.
you on
You're
this.
trying to be a tyrant.
Okay.
All you want.
I'm not trying to be a tyrant. I'm
Yeah.
trying to, like I said, I'm trying to enforce the law of the state of New Mexico.
You swore an oath under the Constitution to protect and serve, and look what you're doing. What you're saying is, no, you can't be in there once you're first. But I'm well within my rights. But you're violating my rights.
Mr. Chi, they've asked that you leave. So can you leave for us? Are you willing to leave today?
Guy wants to violate my rights, guys. Exercising my rights.
Mr. Chi, you need to get in your vehicle and leave.
Don't tell me what to do. You don't oversee
Mr.
me.
Chi, I've asked you multiple times to leave.
Hey Justin,
How you doing?
get out of here, bud.
I'll go when I'm ready to go.
Okay, well I need you to get out of here, okay?
No, you guys can't tell me what to do.
Hey Justin, you're gonna be trespassed for a year, okay? Just giving you a heads up.
I'm gonna be here tomorrow.
Alright, if you are here tomorrow, you'll be arrested, okay?
That's why you guys violate my rights.
Alright,
Mr.
sir.
Chi, we've both advised you of what's going on.
It don't matter.
You need to leave the property.
I don't matter. You guys gonna violate my constitutional right? Go ahead.
Get out of here, Justin.
You guys like violating rights, huh?
Mr. Chi argues that the officers are violating his constitutional rights by ordering him to leave and not allowing him to film in the public defender's office. The idea that the Constitution allows individuals to be able to film and otherwise express themselves in any building that is owned or operated by the government is a common misconception in the First Amendment community. As we have discussed many times on ATA, the Supreme Court has repeatedly held that the government has the authority to restrict speech on public property. For instance, in the 1976 case of Greer versus Spock, the court rejected a lower court's argument that when the public is freely permitted to visit a place owned or operated by the government, it becomes a First Amendment public forum, holding that, quote, such a principle of constitutional law has never existed and does not exist now. The guarantees of the First Amendment have never meant that people who want to propagandize protests or views have a constitutional right to do so whenever and however and wherever they please. The state, no less than a private owner of property, has power to preserve the property under its control for the use to which it is lawfully dedicated. Because the Public Defender's Office is lawfully dedicated to the legal representation of indigent criminal defendants, it is clear that the property is not a public forum, and a court would almost certainly conclude that the government could place reasonable and content-neutral restrictions on citizens' expression of speech in the office. In the same way that the First Amendment, which states that, quote, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, has not been interpreted to grant citizens unlimited freedom of speech, the Fifth Amendment, which states that, quote, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, and the 14th Amendment, which states that, quote, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, have not been interpreted to grant citizens the unfettered right to go wherever they want to and do whatever they choose to. However, the term liberty does recognize that individuals have a substantial amount of freedom to do as they please. For instance, in the 1999 case of Chicago versus Morales, the Supreme Court recognized that, quote, the freedom to loiter for innocent purposes is part of the liberty protected by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Indeed, it is apparent that an individual's decision to remain in a public place of his choice is as much of a part of his liberty as the freedom of movement inside frontiers that is a part of our heritage, or the right to move to whatsoever place one's own inclination may direct. However, in the 1965 case of Cox versus Louisiana, the Supreme Court explained that, quote, liberty can only be exercised in a system of law which safeguards order. We reaffirm the repeated decisions of this court that the right of peaceful protest does not mean that everyone with opinions or beliefs to express may do so at any time and at any place. There is a proper time and place for even the most peaceful protest, and a plain duty and responsibility on the part of all citizens to obey all valid laws and regulations. This tension between individual freedoms and the government's authority to maintain order has been the basis for many court cases, and it is understandable why Mr. Chi would be confused about the scope of his constitutional rights given the complexities of this area of law. However, it is likely that a court would determine that Mr. Chi's rights were not violated when he was trespassed from the public defender's office, considering the purpose of the department.
Remember, it's all on camera. You guys violated my rights.
Don't come back on the property.
Yeah, you're just in.
I need you to leave. Okay, we're not gonna give you any more warnings.
Just get out of here, bud. Okay.
You guys are number one.
Okay. Just
Okay,
get
I
out of here,
appreciate
bud.
that, but
Just do me a favor and get out of here,
Leave.
okay?
Shut the up, guys.
vehicle-
Get out of here, sir.
Shut the up.
Mr. Chi,
You guys are not
get
my
outta here.
fathers.
we're
I'll leave when I'm ready.
We have authority to make you leave.
Your authority doesn't override the Constitution.
After Mr. Chi again refused to leave the property, he was arrested, and on December 9th, 2021, he was charged with criminal trespass and resisting an officer. The charges were dismissed without prejudice on May 24th, 2022, because the prosecutor failed to appear at a pretrial hearing. But on June 7th, 2022, the complaint was refiled, and as of the date of this episode, both charges are still pending against Mr. Chi. Mr. Chi also filed an ethics complaint against Ms. Field with the Disciplinary Board of the New Mexico Supreme Court, and after completing an investigation, the disciplinary board determined that Ms. Field did not violate any rules of professional conduct by trespassing Mr. Chi from the public defender's office. Overall, the officers get an A for maintaining a respectful and professional demeanor throughout the interaction, exercising tremendous patience with Mr. Chi as he repeatedly refused to leave the property, and remaining calm in the face of Mr. Chi's insults and attempts to provoke an escalated response. It is clear from the interaction that Deputy Smith in particular did not want to arrest Mr. Chi, and he provided him with numerous opportunities to comply with the trespass order. Both officers seemed to be familiar with Mr. Chi, and despite the fact that this was probably not the first time they had interacted with him, they demonstrated a consistent and admirable level of patience and respect in their interactions with him. Although it is unfortunate the officers eventually had to arrest Mr. Chi, this was entirely due to Mr. Chi's behavior and not in any way an unnecessary escalation on the part of the officers. The officers certainly had probable cause to arrest Mr. Chi well before they actually did, and I commend them for giving Mr. Chi every opportunity to comply with the trespass order and avoid arrest. Mr. Chi gets an F for demonstrating a fundamental misunderstanding of the limitations of the First Amendment, repeatedly disrupting public servants attempting to perform their duties, and likely committing the crimes of trespassing and resisting. While I admire Mr. Chi's enthusiasm for the Constitution, in this audit, his failure to understand New Mexico criminal laws, the public defender's role, and the authority of the government to restrict speech in inappropriate forums resulted in multiple disruptions for the employees of the public defender's office. Public defenders are tasked with the thankless job of representing criminal defendants who cannot afford to hire an attorney and have devoted their careers to defending the constitutional rights of those individuals. Conferring with Mr. Chi about alleged violations of his rights is not only outside of the public defender's job description, it is beyond the office's statutory authority. While Mr. Chi repeatedly stated he was checking to see if the public defender employees were following their so-called policies and procedures, he never explained what those policies and procedures were, or articulated how filming the client waiting room was relevant to his alleged purpose. Individuals like Mr. Chi do a tremendous disservice to First Amendment auditors who do their research and operate within the confines of the law. And I would encourage Mr. Chi to deepen his understanding of what the Constitution does and does not allow him to do before attempting to conduct further audits. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.